All right, welcome back, everyone. It's episode 4. We're back with the. Sorry, what is our thing called?
Reflect and Rise.
I was like, welcome to
Remember?
Oh my god.
Reflect and Rise.
Yeah, so welcome back to the Reflect and Rise podcast with Melzy and Damon. This is episode 4. Super excited. Thank you all for tuning in the last couple episodes, and thank you for tuning in today. Well, last week I did a bit of a poll on our Instagram, so if you haven't followed, follow. Just kind of wanting to see what everyone wants to hear a bit more about, and everyone seemed to want to learn about parenting. So today's going to be all about that.
I don't know why. I feel like kids are boring and they're all the exact same. And I'm pretty sure if you just read one book, you're fine. Like everyone can be a parent.
After that,
it's
you don't
easy.
really need to hear about it. Parenting's the easiest job.
Just kidding. We know it's hard.
Yes, we do. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, a little bit about parenting. So just a bit of background. So I am a bonus mum or a stepmom to a little girl named Sapphire. She is 3, and I've been kind of a bonus mum since kind of the beginning. So I kind of came into her life before she was born, but like as a step parent, I didn't come in until maybe, I think she was like 5 months.
Still pretty early.
Yeah, so it was very early on. So I've been a stepmom or a bonus mum for a while now.
And I am a new dad. I have a son named Dante. He is 9 months, 2 days ago.
I thought just to start off, let's talk about things we've experienced.
Oh, Lord. So Dante has been in daycare for about, I want to say he's been in for a month and a half now, but he's been enrolled for a month and a half. He's probably attended half of that because he's good 1 week and then sick the next week.
Yes.
Literally just a fortnightly rotation of healthy and sick. It's amazing. So the first time he went into daycare, he ended up getting like a really, really, really bad rash. The next time he went into daycare, he ended up getting like snotty nose and just getting it all in his eyes. And his most recent trip to daycare left him with a really bad cough that he's just been hanging out with for ages. So yeah, that's been awesome. I've had, not that this has all happened in the last week or anything like that, but just dealing with that sickness, among other things.
It's hard, especially with daycare, because you want to expose them to that social thing, but it's a bloody breeding ground of disease, I swear. I swear, when Sapphire used to go to daycare, she doesn't do it anymore, but the same. Always sick. Seems to always pick up something.
If anybody watching has a cure or has an idea for giving babies antibodies without subjecting them to the full way, like the full antibodies, not like vaccines and stuff like that, but I don't know, maybe like a little dipstick with some antibodies on it that babies can suck on like a lollipop that like protects them for the rest of their life, that would be awesome, because
like
there has to be a better way.
Old wives' tales out there that this works with sick babies kind of thing.
Yeah, because there has to be a better way. Like I understand there's the socialization for babies and stuff like that. I'm not 100% sure how much socialization a 9-month-old can get, but and I know that it's better to expose them to these kinds of illnesses before they get to school, because it'd be better for them to miss a couple of days of daycare than for them to miss out on a couple of days of school. I get that. It still sucks. It still sucks having your little human basically go through all the motions, not know how to fix himself, and not be able to just give him the same remedies that, you know, would work for you and I. So it's tricky. It makes me sad, and that's why I beseech thee in the audience, please come up with a better way. But yeah, it's tricky. There's no other way around it. We just have to do it. I feel like that is just the journey of parenting. Is you get a kid, you send him to daycare, get him sick, and then hopefully by the time he's school age, he's all good and he doesn't get sick anymore. But
yeah, and I understand, you know, how people always say, "Oh, it's good because it's building their immune system," but it's still hard seeing your baby like that, sick and obviously just miserable.
Yeah, and there's like we've had another like bit of drama going on this week, just trying to find balance with like grandparent visitations and stuff like that.
Right.
So a little bit of backstory. We're very, very, very fortunate. My partner and I, we have a large village, a very, very, very large village. We've got 3 sets of grandparents. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grandparents. I've got all my brothers. So that's another 3 brothers. and then my partner has her sister and her brothers as well. So our network's quite large.
Yep.
No shortage of people who want to see him, look after him, everything basically, just to be with him. So we're very, very lucky. I don't want anyone to think that I'm selfish. I am selfish, but not in this situation. Yeah, a little selfish. But I think trying to find the balance in not just like visiting, because it's not just the visiting that you have to work out for the schedule. It's people's emotions that you have to consider as well. For me, I feel like both sets of, well, all sets of grandparents are very much emotionally invested in our son. Obviously. And they all want to be able to spend time with him and, teach him things, have moments and memories with him, of course. And I want the exact same thing as well. The issue is finding the time. We have 7 days. My partner and I both work. Ari is 4 days at the moment, but going back to 5 days, and I'm 5 days as well. So baby's basically in daycare or being looked after throughout the week. And the only time we really get to spend any quality time with him is on the weekends. So I've been left with the impossible task of trying to find a way to schedule four groups of people into 2 days, and they all want to have at least one night and one full day with him.
Yeah, hard.
I don't know if any of the people watching this video are math experts, but 4 doesn't go into 2. And then again,
If they all want a night,
yeah, just like
2 nights, 4 people.
It's like 1.5 times 4 divided by 2. I'm like, that doesn't exist in daytime, real world time. So the only way I could really make it work was to do like a monthly rotation, right? So it's just like one entity each weekend. So one grandparent one weekend, us the next weekend, one grandparent the next weekend, one grandparent the next weekend. And that still doesn't really leave us a lot of time with baby. Because how would I explain it without saying it like a person who should be saying it like a parent? I would say we're kind of babysitting him Monday to Friday. You know what I mean? We don't go out and do special things with him, which is something we'd like to do eventually. It's not like... how do I even say it? Basically, we want to spend the right amount of time with baby as well, and so do all the grandparents.
Yeah.
But there's just not enough time in the week to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So, we've had to try and juggle some things, consider everybody's emotions in the mix as well, and just try and find something that works for all parties. But it's been a nightmare. It's been something that's it's just been going on for so long. And I think this week was the last week for me. I'm just like, let's just set this in stone. That way there's no more confusion, no more anything, and this is how it is moving forward. So it goes back to what we said in probably every single episode. Communication is key.
100%.
And
figuring out what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah. And just making sure that everybody's on the same page and everybody's of the same understanding. But it took too long to get there for me. I kind of sat backseat for this one just so that I didn't involve my own feelings in it too much. I didn't want to be too biased in how schedules work because I am biased. So if anybody's paying attention and playing along,
himself.
Yeah, if you're paying attention, you will already know that I'm selfish and I'm biased. Keep watching, you'll find more about me. And so I tried to remove myself from the situation because I didn't want to be too influential on how it all panned out. But it got to a point where I'm like, if I don't step in and just put my foot down and say, this is what it is, you all can either get on board or not. It would have just been a nightmare for forever long. And Ari and I would have been dealing with that pressure, and that would have added pressure to our relationship, and that would have caused either drifts between us or drifts between our families and stuff like that. It's
not worth it that way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not worth it. So I just kind of came in and was just like, this is what it is. This is how it's going to be. Jump on board or get off. That's it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping moving forward now that it's all clear and there's no miscommunications and everybody's across what needs to happen and when it needs to happen. But early days, human beings, woo, could love it.
Yeah.
What about you? Anything else crazy with you this week?
Okay, so we've been doing toilet training,
Eek.
and anyone that has will understand, unless you have angel babies. Um, it's not that she's been super difficult because we have attempted toilet training in the past. Um, the thing is, she knows how to go to the toilet. She does. She's just lazy and doesn't want to because it's more convenient to wear a nappy kind of thing. But we've been super pushing it this week. Like we did the strict nappy. Oh, sorry, strict undies bar when she obviously has a nap or a sleep. But the thing that we kind of struggle with, like she started off really well. She was excited doing it. She liked her new undies, made her feel like a big girl. But then there was like a couple times where she had accidents where we just didn't make it in time. And I think that started to like not scare her, but it was just like she didn't like that feeling. I think she felt like she always would get upset that she missed it. And so she would after that she wanted nappies again because obviously she's just used to nappies and she knows in her nappy she can just go.
Yeah.
Whereas in
she
her
doesn't feel rushed.
yeah, whereas in her undies when she does miss it, she like cries and she's like, "Oh, I did it in my undies," kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think it was just more the emotional thing, and it's hard because obviously it's like one of those things where you have to be super consistent with it. But at the same time, there are some points where you just don't want to have the argument with her. Like, especially when I'll be like, "Oh no, you have to go to the toilet. You have to put your undies on," and she's crying, she's screaming, she doesn't want to put them on, she wants to wear nappies, kind of thing. Sometimes I'm just like, I just don't want to fight with her. But you kind of have to if you want her behavior to, like, if you want to get her toilet trained. So it's been super hard, as well as like, the additional thing is because we co-parent, so we do 1 week on, 1 week off. It's just hard to be consistent because obviously it's like two different households kind of thing, and we're not there on her weeks with her mum, and obviously her mum's not there when she's with us, so it's kind of like it's hard to just maintain the same kind of schedule and the same sort of routine. But we're very good with communicating about it. It's just obviously it'll be easier if like you're there 24/7 to make sure that she's getting it,
because it's about consistency.
yeah. And so it's just been a bit difficult in terms of like, yeah, keeping it consistent. And sometimes I've realized you just have to suffer through the crying and the screaming.
I'd love to give advice on this, but if I gave advice, my mum would scream down the chat and tell everybody that I used to shit on everything all the time. And and she would say that I am probably the last person in the world to give advice on this. So I'd love to give advice, but apparently I was a little shithead, literally. So I think my plan with Dante, right, with toilet training and stuff like that. See, I'm an overthinker, as you know. I've already thought about toilet training. Things. I've already got a plan and everything. And my goal is, and again, it's different. Every situation is different because our households, for example, are different just on the occupancy, and living situations are very, very different. But my goal for when Dante is ready to start toilet training, once he's cognitive to realize like I'm going to the toilet and stuff like that, or I need to go to the toilet, I'm just going to make it a game. So as soon as I need to go to the toilet, like start feeling it, I'm just going to jump up from what I'm doing and go, and I'm just going to scream at the top of my lungs, like, I need to go to the toilet. I need to go to the toilet.
Make it a fun activity kind of thing.
Yeah. And it's weird, but I'm probably going to tell my son, like, come on, let's go to the toilet. So that he thinks it's like, it's a thing we do. You know what I mean? Like, so, and I'm not saying that you guys are doing it differently or wrong or anything like that, but
that was your plan.
That's my plan. My brain goes straight into manipulation. It goes into
Don't worry. I've done plenty of that with her.
I feel like babies are probably the easiest people to get away with it too. It's like it's almost like training.
I'm just training you. What do you mean?
Every time he does something good, just give him a treat. You're like, you're a good boy. We'll reinforce that habit here for another one.
Conditioning.
Yeah. Don't call the Child Protective Services on me,
no,
please. I am a good dad. I'm a great dad. I promise. I love being a dad. It's so handy. I definitely gonna have a little minion running around because he's gonna think it's all his idea.
Yeah. And it absolutely was his idea. What do you mean? Nah, but honestly, like I've done a couple things like that. Like at the beginning, I was kind of like, did what apparently my parents did with me, which was just like every like hour, literally just put me on the toilet and just. Sometimes I went, sometimes I didn't, but it was just more of a just get to the used to we go there, we go to this toilet kind of thing. So I did that at the beginning. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. I did her Lola did a little bit of bribing this week of if you go you can have an ice block kind of thing. Sometimes worked, sometimes didn't, because then she would just be like, I want an ice block, give me an ice block, and it's like, no, you have to go to the toilet first.
But I don't need to pee.
Yeah, but
Give me the ice block.
and I've just employed a sticker chart, which has been, again, it's hard because like obviously I'm like, oh, if you go to the toilet you can put a sticker, and then now, but it's all about the sticker now.
Yeah.
She's like, but I just want a sticker. And I was like, you have to go to the toilet first, kind of thing.
She's hanging out, just like, I'll wait.
I
I've got to
just
pee
want
eventually.
a sticker, kind of thing. But yeah, so there's obviously all those little tips and tricks. If you know one that has been successful, please let me know. The thing is, she, like I said, she knows how to go. Like she does, like there's been a couple times this week which I was super, super happy. Like usually she'll be like, I need to go to the toilet, so I'll go with her. But there was a couple times this week where I was just in the room and she came and she's like, I did it. And I'm like, did what? She's like, I went to the toilet. And I went and
so
watched, and she had
good.
actually gone to the toilet, wiped. She can't flush it because it's too hard. But she like washed her hands and everything. And I was like, angel baby. And then the next one is when she was like, no. And I was like, oh, okay, so you've changed your mind.
Oh, just when you feel like doing it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I've been doing this week. So yeah, if you have any tips on toilet training and getting it to stick, please let me know.
Not the poo, the training. Getting the training to stick. So
It's not been fun
yeah.
doing that part.
Yeah, I am a little bit excited to start doing the same thing. A little bit nervous, but we don't have many carpeted floors. We have a lot of tiles, so shouldn't be too bad cleaning it up at least. I mean, we have a dog and 2 cats, so I think I'm okay with cleaning up like poo, vomit, wee, everything like that. And babies came from me. He's half me. It's fine. It's like me pooing on the floor. I'd clean it. Maybe. Yeah, I might ask Ari to do it if I'm feeling
Why
bad.
are you
But
pooing on the floor?
because I'm Australian and I've got a drinking problem.
Oh, of course.
Sorry. But yeah, I definitely excited for the same thing to go with Dante. Yeah, hopefully it's not.
It is exciting, like the new things.
Yeah.
Learning new things, watching kids learn new things for the first time is always exciting.
Speaking of new things, Dante has been crawling for like not crawling, like kind of like belly dragging, I guess, for like the last week and a bit. But he's started to figure out how to use his knees, so now he's full speed around the house, which is
Good job, baby.
awesome. Like I definitely don't have any concerns. Like I got on my hands and knees and basically went around the house just trying to see what I could see at his height. And I'm like, what would I get into if I was a baby? I'm like, all right, cool, move these things basically. You good, sis?
I bumped it.
You're all good. And so now he's full speed around the house. We've had to put up gates to stop him from going downstairs, and we have to keep the door closed down the bottom to make sure he doesn't go up the stairs. So he's mobile, and I remember everyone saying that as soon as he starts moving, it's over. Like,
It is.
That's it. And I'm sitting here just watching him have the time of his life. I'm just like, everybody who's tripping, man. Like, I'm like, babe, he's fine. He's just crawling around, looking at things,
Yeah.
picking things up. I'm like, oh, he spends most of his time under the table.
I think it's only end all if you've got a lot of dangerous things in sight. So if you are smart and you move all the things away, babies are fine crawling around. But if you've got like sharp objects and heavy things that could potentially cause an issue, then yeah, maybe different story.
I think the big thing that I was concerned, the big thing that I noticed when I was going around the house were like the ant traps and the cockroach traps and stuff like that.
Yep.
They were probably like the big things that I wanted to move, but I'm just like, shit, just put it under somewhere he can't crawl. Problem solved. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing like low that he can get into. Like, I think worst case scenario, he can pull a power cord out or something like that, and then play with the extension cords or the outlets and stuff like that. But he's not that quick, you know what I mean? I can't turn around for a split second and he's gone from like one side of the room to the other, and he's like, If he's making his
It's
way,
coming. Don't worry.
if he's making his way to the outlets, I'm gonna see him in a heartbeat. He's a dead ringer for which way he's heading. He doesn't hide which way he's going at all. Obvious baby. So I can see what he's doing. I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, I think this kind of comes back to like parenting styles being different and stuff like that through time. But I feel like a lot of parents back in the day were like, no, don't touch this. No, you can't play with that. No, don't do this, blah, blah, blah. You might break this, you might break that. And I'm just like, if he breaks something, we just clean it up. If he gets into something that he's not supposed to get into, I get him out of it. Like I'm not seeing where all these challenges lie with.
I get that.
Like I know that once he starts climbing, that's another sort of like thing that I need to be worried about. Once he's walking, he can reach things a lot easier. But I don't know. Is my house just not the same as every other parent?
Yeah, I think like what you're saying, definitely back in the day, I think it was very much don't touch. No. And I think the thing is we expect a lot of these behaviors that aren't normal for kids. Kids will touch things, they explore, they'll mess things up, they'll break things, like unless it's something that's obviously going to be dangerous or potentially harmful, then I understand that being like, no. But like, oh, he dropped a book. Okay. Ooh,
He knocked some things off a shelf.
Okay, cool. He's just exploring kind of thing. Yeah, I do understand that. Like, I think that's been really new for a lot of parents, I think. Like the whole just let them be kids kind of thing.
It's almost like we're passing on our anxieties to our kids. You know what I mean? Because like there was one day where baby was sitting out here with his grandma and he just had one of my books. It wasn't like a fancy book or a book that was special to me or anything like that. But I knew just by how he was turning those pages like this, that one of those pages are probably going to get ripped. More likely than not, they're going to get ripped. And I'm sitting there, and my brain is like, tell him to stop, just stop. No, leave it. That's daddy's book. For what? To
Just
stop, to strip him from learning something or seeing something or experiencing something. Well, like I almost feel like when I sit back and think about it, it's like almost robbing him of an opportunity to learn. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Again, I feel like it's just passing on anxieties, and the more anxiety you have about, certain things, that will get passed along to your kids in the sense that you're always like telling them not to touch things or not to do things because you're worried. Not the kids. You're not worried about yourself or anything like that. You're worried about the kids doing X, Y, and Z, and either how that might reflect on you or come back to you, right?
And I think it might even be like a little bit of a projection of like what we like, oh, I got in trouble for touching those things. And it's like kind of a reflex of like, no, you're not allowed to touch. And then it's like, wait, I create the rules here. He can touch it if he wants to kind of thing. Yeah. And I like, especially like, I remember there was one thing that sticks out in my mind is it was raining and we were walking somewhere. I can't remember where, like walking to get home, and there was a puddle. And she obviously wanted to go in the puddle. And in my head, I was like, no, don't jump in the puddle. And then in my head, I was like, why not? Why can't she? She can jump. I'll clean her up. The end.
Because I was told not to jump in the puddle.
That's what I think it was. I think I was just like, oh, wait, I've been taught that kids shouldn't jump in puddles. But in my head, I was like, but if I want to let her, I'm allowed to do that. I don't have to follow what I was taught or what is normal. So yeah, I was just like, it's just a lot of those like stopping yourself and be like, wait, why can't she do that?
Do we think it's like an overthinking thing, or like somebody who's just kind of like pulling something out to the nth degree? Because what would be your blockers, right? Let's analyze this really quickly.
Yeah.
So it's like you see a puddle, you know that your child wants to jump, is gonna want to jump in that child. You have to make the conscious decision now, yes or no. Yeah. Yes is an easy one. Like, yeah, fuck it, why not? Like he wants to jump. He, she, they want to jump. It was a fucking reflex, man. Sure, brain rot. Anyway, they want to jump in the puddle. Yes, obvious reason they want to do it. All for it. No, why not? Right? And I'm an overthinker, so let's do this. Shoes get wet, socks get wet. That's the obvious, right? I don't know, some sort of skin disease, Achilles foot, or
Might get sick.
you might get sick, dirty shoes, dirty socks, whatever, right?
Yeah.
All of those things versus an experience. You know what I
And-
mean? Like,
And all of those things easily fixed
yeah,
kind of thing.
all these things.
Dirty clothes. Damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta
Sick.
throw them away. No,
Sick.
wash.
Oh, again. Like, seriously, what's the
Yeah.
worst case scenario? They're not going to jump in a puddle and get fucking gangrene and you're going to cut their foot off. You know what I mean? It's a puddle.
Yeah.
If your kid wants to jump in a puddle, responsible parents and parents who actually love their kids would jump in the puddle after them. True story.
So
Cancel
if
me,
you
baby.
don't, if you don't, you obviously don't love your kids.
Shall we polarize the chat? Yes.
Yeah, I think that's been really new, and obviously it's just goes to show how different parenting was back in the day. Like, especially like, for example, discipline back in the day. I feel like this is obviously not all parents were like this, but I think majority of the time it was very much, what is it called?
Authoritarian, I think.
Parenting. It was like,
I'm the boss.
yeah, I'm the boss, you obey, you listen, and the whole obedient thing was very big.
And if you were raised in that household, the number one saying you heard was respect your elders.
That is either respect your elders or because I said so.
Because I said so.
It's like,
Yeah.
So obviously this is not me bashing that kind of parenting at all.
Because it totally works.
Totally works.
Totally
you
works.
produce the most upstanding citizens. But I think just, especially in this new age, there's a lot of different parenting styles and a lot more people being more open to trying new things. And so, like, obviously there's like gender parenting. There's, what is the other ones? There's one I know it's bad. Not bad. It's subjective. People.
Can I say one that's bad before I forget it? I should have
Yes.
just written it down so we didn't get off track. But have you heard how some people are refusing to change their baby's nappy unless they get consent? Are you nuts? Are you actually nuts? Your baby can't communicate like that. Like, babies can't like start signing until 8-9 months or some shit.
I don't know the correct age, but I know that asking permission every single time to change a nappy is insane.
To a baby.
A baby.
Baby don't know, bro. You know what's best for your baby.
Yeah, like a baby's going to be like, oh, consent.
Yeah.
I know that word.
You know what? Because dad and mum are giving me a choice, I'm not cleaning my ass today. No, that's...
Well, and so what if they say no, you're just going to let them sit in it
I don't even know how the fuck they say no.
until... But yeah, first of all, how do they say no? Second of all, if they do say no, so do you just let them sit in their own filth until they decide yes? What if they don't decide to say yes for like 3 days?
Yeah, because then what? You do the right thing as a parent and you clean them. And then what? You avoid their consent, which is the thing that they can't even give anyway as a baby. Wild shit, man. Western society shit.
Definitely.
And that probably almost certainly happened in America.
Yeah,
Just like,
100%.
almost certainly happened in America.
But yeah, I've noticed the generational change in terms of like parenting styles, discipline and stuff.
Even the acceptance of how we raise kids at school. You know, like, remember back in the cane days? Like, I mean, we weren't around at school in the cane days. I'm sure all of our older viewers will remember the cane.
My mum talks about it regularly.
Yeah, my dad was a lefty, so anytime he used to write with his left hand, yeah, you weren't allowed to write with your left hand back in the day.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was just like that right hand. It's like your brain's just like, I can't do it.
It's like, I was born to do this.
Smash me, fam. I can't. You know, like, I can't. But the cool thing is, due to that trauma, dad, he's ambidextrous now. He can
Okay.
use both of his hands to write, but he prefers like certain things for different sports mainly. I'm
Oh
pretty
yeah,
sure.
like so like if golfing one way kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I think it was more. I don't actually remember what sports he was playing. Sorry. But yeah, it's like even things like that have changed heaps. Like parenting rules have changed. Like the approach to, like you said, discipline. I think the big one that I noticed, especially as a child of 4, was because for me, especially as a new parent, the cried out method versus self-soothing versus whatever the other one is. Yeah, like being there. I don't think
being present,
being present.
loving your child.
One of the ones, but I remember all of my brothers were raised using the cried out method, and when we started to go through the parenting journey, all the things we said that were babies can't self-soothe until 8 weeks or something, or like no, it's probably longer than that. It's probably like 4 months or something. Don't quote me.
Whatever the one is.
It's whatever the number is when you Google it, and it tells you what the answer is. So with that, I was just like, wait a second. Is this just something we've learnt now? Or is this something that we always knew and parents were just not given the same information that we were given? It's just so much has changed from when like our grandparents were when our grandparents were having kids, or our grandparents were having kids, to now our generation and the generation after us having kids. From the digital age to vaccinations, health,
seatbelts.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's like there used to be a time, younger people, this is one's for you because you won't know anything because you guys were raised in front of a screen. But they used to be able to have no seatbelts, kids sitting in the front seat on your lap.
Yeah. I think I like searched it up and it was, let me see. Seatbelts weren't invented till 1955. First of all, that's just in general seatbelts. But the first baby car seatbelt, or just a baby car seat in general with a seatbelt, wasn't made till 1962. So there was all of those years where kids were just hanging out, kind of thing. Babies, newborns.
Rewind to the 8th century. Some newborn on the front of like a horse and carriage just falls off and shit. Like, no.
Damn it. I wish we had a way to restrain you, but
lucky we had 16 kids. But it's changed heaps. It's literally changed heaps. I think one of the big things, because getting Dante into daycare, we had to provide a vaccination report or something like that, like a summary, basically to say that he's had all of his immunizations and he can up to date and stuff like that. And sorry, this makes you think about COVID regulations. We'll get there. And thinking about how much has changed. I don't know why. Whenever I think about my grandparents, oh my God, I'm going to get fucking slammed. Anytime I think about my grandparents being like parents, they live in like fucking old villages where like they farms and they're like ruled by a king. Like I just think that they're really like fucking really old, like really old. I'm just like, my mum met Dracula. Yeah,
obviously. Like, that's
mum,
how old you are.
He left Transylvania, come to Australia, hung out for a bit.
You were there when the first like people arrived.
100%. My mum saw Jesus come down with the stone tablets, and she helped spread that message. That's how old my mum was.
They knew Moses, obviously.
Yeah. I'm always giving my mum shit for being old. And it's funny because I'm turning 30 this year, and I remember being, when my mum was 30, I was 8, and I thought mum was old as shit.
Yeah.
And now I'm turning 30, and I'm like, great, I'm old as shit. But all those things, like you think about how much has changed, especially if you go way, 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 way back. Medicine being a thing for babies, you know what I mean? Like I'm pretty sure when it was no seatbelt times, we didn't have the sorts of medicine available for babies that we do today.
What? You couldn't get Panadol?
Yeah, like baby safe Panadol.
Like Nurofen?
Oh, just give him some fucking cocaine. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
Just give him a little bit of alcohol.
Yeah. Oh my God. All the, what are we calling them? The baby boomers. And what's before baby boomers? I want to say Gen Z. No, Gen Z's. Yeah, Gen Z. I think it's Gen Z, Gen X.
Honestly don't know these things.
Yeah, generation things. I think they died out with like our parents' generation. Like they kept track of like who was the generational thing.
I feel like I'm.
And people just kind of told us like, you're a millennial. I'm like, cool.
Okay.
Like cool.
Sweet. Cool.
That doesn't resonate with me in the slightest.
I was just born at this time.
Yeah. It's like star signs. It's cool. Yeah, cool. It's like you're a millennial Libra air sign with a Capricorn moon. I don't know. Fucking people are weird.
I like star signs.
Oh, you can like star signs, 100%.
But I'm not like a...
Your personality is dictated by your star sign. Like, oh my God, I'm such a Cancer. I'm like, oh my God, you are Cancer. Like, stop.
The definition.
Yeah. You're not a crab. You're the cell that multiplies and kills everything else around it. But it's it's one of those things. It's just like things have changed so much between like the older generations to now. Think about the iPad generation of kids, right? It's just the digital era. It's mobile phones, iPads. Soon they're gonna have fucking baby safe VR machines.
Probably. What is your thoughts on iPads and stuff?
Oh, so I have a funny story about screen time. I think in episode 1 we talked about like things that you wish you would have told your previous self, or things that you said you wouldn't do as a parent that you ended up. Yeah. One of those was screen time and television time. So you've heard of Miss Rachel, I'm assuming.
Yes.
I'm sure a lot of people have heard of Miss Rachel. Anyway, it's Dante's favorite TV show. Absolute favorite TV show. And I was all for it because I'm like, this is educational. I'm learning shit, not amazing stuff, because like I thought I was learning awesome sign language, and then I realized it's the American sign language. It's
there's a lot of different sign languages.
Why?
Don't know. I feel
Why?
But then again, it's like, why we have a lot of languages in general? It's because one person was like, nah, I want to make my own.
No, but can you imagine being like, oh, I need to be able to communicate with deaf people, and you learn like Auslan, right? And then you're like, fuck yeah, I can communicate with deaf people. And then you go to Germany and they're like, oh no, we've got like a
different one
we've
altogether.
got a Deutsch sign language. I'm like, why do you have a German word for a fucking for? Why is that a sign language?
Was that your first choice?
Why is that the sign language? Sorry.
My God. On a parenting episode.
This is where babies come from. The birds
That was
and
the
bees.
demonstration.
But it's like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, off tangent, obviously, way off tangent. We're talking about parenting, but that's just baffling to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting here learning this sign language, teaching this sign language to my son, and then somebody comes and tells me that
no, it's different.
It depends on like what country you live in, that the fucking sign languages. I'm like, that's wild.
Yeah.
But back to my story. Loves it. Educational. I do the whole like trace my lips so he's looking at my mouth, and I open my mouth. I do all the tricks that Miss Rachel does because he loves it. Then one time we put an episode on just while he was chilling, just something to do while we were eating, basically. And as soon as he heard the jingle and like the hi, he just started squealing like in excitement, like, oh my God, Miss Rachel, I am so. And this kid has never done that when he's seen me. Never, ever, 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 ever. And I'm just, 100%. There was a lot of jealousy in that. Yeah. And but it was confusion. And then I did some tests. Like, I'm talking like science experiment on my kid. Strapped him up. No, I'm just kidding. And I had the video on my phone, and I would just sit away from him and play it. And every single time I would play the intro, he would react like that. Okay. Every single time. It got to the point where I took a video of him reacting to the sound so I could share it with my mum and his other grandmother. And I would play the video of him reacting, and he would hear the sound, and he would react again. So without the screen being there, without the actual audio source from like a speaker coming out, just hearing those noises on any like speaker,
any device,
set off like
that reaction.
That reaction in his brain. And I straight up saw that and was like, no more TV time. I'm just like, because I don't know the impacts that it's having on his brain. And I know that babies are squishy and stuff like that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with him learning, like, you know, from an educational show on TV, especially if you're like doing it with the baby rather than just using like a TV as a babysitter. But to see how the bridges, like the synapses in his brain had started to build based on this TV show over such a short amount of time, I was just like, whoa. Because this is the gateway drug to social media. You know what I mean? Like from here, he gets into Facebook, social, like TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat if it still exists. All of those things, right? And those are more addictive, way more addictive. So if his brain's already reacting like this to stimulus, which is basically just learning on the screen, what is going to happen to baby when he is able to just sync time, like proper time? So back to the original question, what are your thoughts about iPad time? I am hesitant. Hesitant because I don't know how to make it educational without it being like a dopamine trap. You know what I mean? Because that's what I feel the issue is from the digital space. It's very, very, very easy to get that dopamine hit. It's very,
And
very
then training those transmitters to only seek dopamine from them.
exactly. Because one thing, like say day one, you play a game on your dad's iPad, and you start getting all these little explosions and cheers. You're a winner. Ding, 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 ding. Happy noises. That's all you want after that.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, your dopamine receptors don't work because you're only programmed to chase quick fixes.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm cautious about it. Because like obviously I love the convenience of the digital world, especially in parenting, like in those moments, like you said, like, oh, you just want to eat dinner, put it on, distract him while you're eating, kind of thing. But I have noticed like a little bit, like in my nieces and nephew, like what was it? It was like the other day I like made them some food, and then they were like, oh, where's my iPad? Like, because they wanted to watch something while they eat, kind of thing. But it was like almost like I have to watch something
without it. Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, okay. Because that, like, I used to just do that for them. And then I was like, oh, okay, what am I actually doing here? Kind of thing.
Am I building a dependency?
Am I enabling them a little bit? So yeah, I get what you mean by the hesitant thing. Because it is like you said, like it is good. Like there are good things to the digital world, like Miss Rachel, and learning new things that, yeah, it's just trying to find the balance and trying to find how it's actually affecting.
Because I think for me, I'm quite at a crossroads. I know tech addiction is a real thing, and I can't imagine anything worse than being tech addicted at 7 years old or younger, right? That's wild to me. Because when you go to school, you don't get your iPad. That might change. Yeah. But even if you did get your iPad, you can't sit there and play your games and get your little dopamine fixes. You need to be dialed in for 8 hours, learning and, just growing and developing, basically. But the flip side to that coin is I want Dante to be able to confidently know how to navigate the internet so that he can fact check the shit out of people.
Yeah.
If anybody watching knows me, they know I will fact check the fucking shit out of you. You send me a link. You
want to come correct.
Yeah, 100%. And that's one of my things is people will send me things like, oh my God, did you see this? And I don't even get into it. I just go, okay, cool. Let's look up the information I know from this video and let's fact check this. Let's figure out if this is real or not. Because I'm not going to watch it, get emotionally invested.
And then not be real.
And it not be real. Yeah. So every time somebody sends me something, not everything, but whenever I get something that's probably a little bit political or there's some sort of world event going on, Gaza and Palestine's been huge for it at the moment. I'm fact checking the shit out of it because on top of the misinformation, you have propaganda and stuff like that. So you never really know your sources are correct until you do the research yourself. So I want Dante to be able to have that ability so that, especially in today's society, it's like the social media expert civilization now.
Well, if they wrote it, then it must be true.
Oh my God. The amount of times somebody has said that, like, I read it on Facebook. And then there's always the other party that's like, oh, Facebook's not any more reputable than a news source. I'm like, one of them's written by a person sitting in his undies who saw one video on TikTok, and the other one has a fucking degree working at a publishing firm or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
Journalist.
Something. Journalist.
Yeah.
News agency? No, that's the fucking...
Yeah. This is where you can buy scratchies.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
So that's what I mean. Like, yes, you can't trust all your sources, but if you check like 5 things and they're all saying the same thing and they're all kind of like from different viewpoints, that's pretty much the closest you're going to get to confirming an answer. So I want Dante to be able to have the technology to do those sorts of things, but I don't want him to be addicted to technology that
like
he
reliant.
Can't. Yeah, that he can't do anything without having his phone or his iPad or something.
Because it is very much dopamine's a tricky thing to play with. Like, have you ever felt that thing where like notification goes off? Say if you're driving, notification goes off, and it's like everything in you wants you to check it. Because your body's like.
Were you? Ooh, just making sounds over here. Fuck. We're. I'm doing it again. Were we friends when I had my social media break? Spent like 4 years or 3 years off of social media.
I do not know.
No? Okay. So
To be honest.
basically, to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. I know that. I was having like phantom vibrations in like my leg, like on my leg.
Like you felt it vibrating?
And I would check my phone and there was no vibration. So my brain was just like, check it, check it, check it, check it. You could check your device device well-being, sorry, and it would say how many times you've opened your phone or unlocked your phone or used a certain app, and mine was ridiculous. I think in one day I had opened my phone like, I'm just going to throw a number, like 300 and something times in a day. And I thought to myself then, if I had done anything else 300 times, beer, wine, smokes, drugs, 300 times in a day, you're an addict.
You have an issue.
You have a
little bit of an
problem.
issue, guys.
Like, you need to go see a specialist and get help, because you shouldn't be unconsciously going back to something 300
that many times.
That is way too much. Now, after having a massive detox from it, I don't have any notifications on my phone. So all of my notifications are locked to the app. I don't get push notifications. So nothing comes to my screen unless I get, I think the rule is if I get tagged in something, that'll come straight to my screen. But comments, likes, shares, whatever, no notifications whatsoever. Because I have a very, very addictive personality, and it will not take me long to fall back into that rabbit hole.
I 100% understand that. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. It's a bit hard because I'm the same with that. Like, obviously I want to be able to schedule my time on my phone better, but I not only run a business, we run the podcast. I also work in digital marketing.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of hard to try and balance work and like personal time on these digital devices.
Yeah, because if we were just using it for personal reasons, this would be easy. You'd just be able to go like, yeah, fuck it, I'll spend like half an hour at the end of my day on social media. Done.
Yeah.
But we have to learn. We have to use it as a research tool at the same time as you have to use it as a work tool as well. So we can't just disconnect from social media now. We have to stay on top of it so that we're always up to date with what's happening. And like, for example, me not having any notifications or anything like pushed out of the app, I'm just falling behind all the time. That's like
Double-edged sword.
Double-edged sword, 100%. So it's like you need to stay connected to stay in the loop, because if you're not connected, you're just going to fall behind. Does Dante need to be connected? No, not at all. I definitely do. But if he wants to do the things that I want to do, how am I going to figure that out? You know what I mean?
I think also jumping on what you just said, like before with the example thing, this also goes with what we were talking about with like the generational change, is I feel like back in the day it was very much, what's that saying? Do as I say, not as I do. But I think nowadays it's not do as I say. We have to do as I do.
Have to be accountable.
Yeah, have to be accountable and show the right example. And it's kind of hard, like how do you do it? Like how do you successfully do it, I guess?
I think if you were to communicate the reasons why you wanted to, so if we're just touching on the same vein with the whole iPads and stuff like that, if you explain the reasons why, and it's like properly communicated as to why they have this time, and then giving them a restriction so that you don't put that in place, I think that would help. But kids are just basically little mini mimes, you know what I mean? They want to do everything that you want to do. So maybe the upside to it is you get them to help look for things on social media with you. Yeah.
I think that's 100% it. I think it's the keeping informed thing. Like even with what you're saying, like doing the research as well. But I think keeping kids informed is very much a new thing as well. Like I think Okay, I was a bit annoying as a kid. Okay.
You're annoying
Well,
as an adult. Yeah, I'm sorry.
whoa, way to call me out. Are we even friends? But no, like, okay, I say annoying as a kid, but I think it's because of that whole back in the day, you know how it was like, kids don't talk in adult situation kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to talk to the adults because I always wanted to learn. I was kind of weird like that. I always wanted to learn what they were doing.
Same, sis.
And so, like, obviously, like at the dinner table, like they're all talking. I want to jump in because I want to talk too. But I was very much like, kids don't. Yes,
Are you the eldest?
no, I'm the youngest.
Oh, you're youngest.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely would have wanted to be included because if you
Yeah.
would have seen like the other siblings being able to have those conversations too, you're like, oh,
I
I'm a
wanna
big
be-
kid.
yeah.
I'm a big kid. I'm an adult. So
Yeah, and
continue
so,
before I
like,
remove that.
I think back in the day, it was very much if you're a kid, just you don't need to be a part of this kind of thing. Whereas I think it's very new to try and keep kids informed and keep them in the loop.
Yep.
Like, I'm going to shout out my auntie and uncle here, Auntie Sarah and Uncle Tyrant. I've loved how they've parented their 3 girls. They've always encouraged them to join in with conversations. They've like always encouraged them to like have an opinion about things, which I think, like you said, is the best way to do an example is one, obviously show them, explain what's going on, and kind of just, I think keeping them informed and keeping them in the loop is one of the best ways.
Yeah, because that's what I mean. I feel, especially when I was a kid, the more I was shut out, the more I wanted to know.
Yes. Yes. Like, why can't I know these things?
So, my parents were smokers, but they didn't want me and my brothers to know that they were smokers. So they would go and have parent time in the garage, and we always wanted to go and join because there are people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we want to go hang out with mom and dad. They're doing parent time. They're probably
That
doing
sounds
cool
cool.
shit.
Yeah.
So like we wanted to be there, and I remember the amount of times we would go to open the garage door because it was like, you know how you could access the garage through the house. One of those sorts of doors, like an internal door, and we would start to open the door like, oi, out, not allowed in here. We're like, oh, it's not fair, blah, blah. And we would come back in and we just wait for them and stuff. And it wasn't until we got a little bit older that I think we always knew, but I think it was a little bit older that we realized what they were up to. And then it took me a long time after that to realize why they were hiding it from us. So I think if it was communicated down as a kid, it probably would have been one of those things where I was just like, oh, okay,
Oh, okay, fair enough.
cool, yeah, whatever. Like, that doesn't apply to me at all. It's not something I want to do. Sweet. It did end up with all of my brothers smoking. So
What does that mean?
so that's what I mean. Like, I don't think it by hiding it did anything. But I think by the time my two youngest were old enough to know, were old enough to know, they were pretty much aware that mum and dad was smoking anyway. So from not informing the kids to kind of not really informing the kids, just letting them know that they did it,
Yeah.
didn't really end up changing the end result. Like, I'm assuming they just didn't want us to smoke.
Yeah.
And for the most part, that didn't happen. So I guess all that effort really could have just been condensed down to just having a conversation about why you do it and making them kind of understand the reasons why you do it, why they shouldn't do it. Because it's like once you start dealing in absolutes, challenges start to form. It's like, oh, you can't do this because you're a kid. I'm like, bet.
So just wait a bit longer and I can do it kind of thing? Or
Yeah, that as well, exactly. Or it's a challenge like, oh, you don't think kids can do this? Let me show you that kids can do this. You think you're smart, mom, but I'm gonna show you you're wrong. You know what I mean? Because it's not always defiance. Sometimes it's just pushing knowledge. You know what I mean? It's like, they said I can't do something because I'm a kid and I have to be an adult. Why is that?
why can't I do it as a kid? Let me see if I can
Is
do
there
it
actually
as
a
a kid.
physical reason why I can't do it? What is this ceiling that these parents have given me?
Yeah.
And how do I get through it? Because I don't think I'm a kid. I want to be a big kid. I want to be an adult. You know what I mean? So kids are always kind of in a rush to become adults, I feel. So if you tell them that they can't do things because they're a kid, that's just going to kind of push them more
Yeah.
to like do those things. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm very excited to see how Dante's personality unfolds once he gets a little bit older. But I definitely will be trying to communicate as much as I can down to him, so that he's just more knowledgeable. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. My parents were the kinds of parents that told us that the Great Wall was built to keep the rabbits out. So, man.
The rabbit.
You've never heard that?
No.
Oh my gosh.
What did the rabbits do?
Oh my gosh.
Why do you have to
wild.
keep them out?
All right. Can we confirm this?
Is that a common thing told?
Is it just an Australian parent thing or a white parent thing? Or help us figure it out. Have your parents ever said that the Great Wall was built to keep the rabbits out? Because I'm curious. My parents genuinely said that.
I have never heard that.
They
That is
made
such a funny
They
thing.
made an ad about it. There was an ad
What?
about it. Yeah. So I'm
That's
gonna find out.
hilarious.
I'm gonna find out the origins of this in our
These
in our
poor
downtime.
rabbits.
Yeah, there's
These
poor
poor
rabbits.
rabbits.
It's like, who put
What
this
did I
wall
do?
up, bro? But yeah, it's one of those. I didn't make that up. I swear to God, that's not me. It's probably some bullshit my parents passed down to me and expected me to believe. But yeah, I think if there was anything else that we could take from the parenting styles is that everyone's different.
Mm-hmm.
Every household is different. Do your research and just educate yourself so that you can better educate your kids.
Yeah. So, like, would you say that's your, or what would you say is your number one rule that you want Dante to live by as he gets older?
Number one rule to live by.
Yeah.
I think my number one rule for Dante would be to question everything.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Don't trust like the sources. Don't trust the sources. Don't trust everybody that talks to you. Like, unless they're a qualified expert, even then, kind of err on the side of caution. But unless they're like an actual expert, fact check the shit out of people. Don't trust somebody just because they've told you something. Even like, especially in the age of social media,
Anyone can say anything.
The misinformation is at the highest it's ever been. Propaganda has never been easier to manufacture. So I think if Dante learnt to check everything, check his sources, and to make sure that they're not like biased opinions and stuff like that, he would go so far because he wouldn't be misled and pushed down certain streams that weren't even real. What about you?
I think my number one rule that I would want Sapphire to not just live by, but like I want her to remember as like one of the rules that I always wanted her to live by.
Yeah.
I said that really weird. But I think it's just understanding your own emotions.
Yeah.
And understanding like how to emotionally regulate and emotionally process. Because I feel like if you have no control of your emotions, you'll be swayed by everyone. You will be swayed by yourself, but also everyone. Like anyone can pull you out of your logical state, like what we talked about in our previous episodes. And so yeah, I think I would want her to live by that. Live by knowing yourself and owning your emotions and knowing them, so that you're able to make informed decisions. Which I think that's the number one thing, like with doing your research. At least be informed. Be informed in whatever you do.
Well, I think those two definitely go hand in hand. Be informed about the things around you and be informed about yourself.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I agree with you. Like if you were aware of your emotions, how they work in certain situations, that's world changing. You'll be able to like avoid situations that you know are going to be like massive triggers, or if you know that it's a trigger and you can't avoid it, you've already got coping mechanisms in place to deal with that situation. Can you imagine like an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old being able to like emotionally regulate through bullying and stuff like that as it's happening?
That would be,
it's like a superpower.
Phenomenal. Literally be like someone trying to bully you. Okay.
Like cool.
I understand where this is going. I'm not feeling affected by this, but good for you for trying.
I feel like Sapphire is one of those sassy girls and needs to have a newspaper rolled up at all times, so that whenever someone picks on her, she can just pull out a newspaper and just fucking you know what I mean? Like, just let me know when you're done.
Yeah, that's what I want her to. I want her to learn. Is I don't want her to be swayed by people. I want her to be so certain of herself that anyone can come at her and she'll be like, okay.
Yeah. And by doing that, she would probably become an advocate for it, and she would probably do the same thing for all of her friends as well.
Yeah.
And then by the time she's our age, she'll be running podcasts and doing seminars and stuff like that, because she'll be a professional. Yeah. But yeah, start them young, for sure. Absolutely love that. All right. Well, I think that's all the things that we had to talk about in this episode. If there's probably a couple of other things that we could talk about in another episode, but I thought we could finish up and go on to the community spotlight. Yeah, go ahead. Awesome. So this week for our community spotlight, I wanted to shout out my old friend Tanya Mitchell. We go way back to high school days, and I've been following her on Instagram and Facebook for a while now. tons of content. She's really good at what she does. She's a videographer and a photographer. Her handle is at tm.media. I'll do all the links and everything like that as well so you can see it. But yeah, she's based in Brisbane and the Gold Coast, and she flies in and out different locations depending wherever she needs to do the shoot. She does brand stuff, she does like athlete footage and everything like that. And yeah, just overall amazing work, and I never get tired of seeing her stuff. So yeah, thought I'd shout Tanya out this time.
Shout out to you. Go everyone follow her. And yeah, if you need her services, she's the one.
Yeah, absolutely. Great quality work. You won't be upset. She's got like a availability list on her pages and stuff like that. So check her out for sure. Other than that, I think that's all we needed to say for today. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Have a lovely day.
Have a lovely day. Bye.